Welcome to Pediatric Case Review. Today's lecture focuses on hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy in pediatric patients, a critical condition general pediatricians must recognize early. This lecture will provide practical knowledge for timely recognition, appropriate referral, and ongoing management. A 12-year-old boy is referred after his father was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Which gene mutation is most commonly associated with familial hypertrophic cardiomyopathy? A. SCN5A, B. MYH7, C. KCNQ1, or D. CFTR. The correct answer is B. MYH7. Mutations in sarcomere proteins account for 60 to 70% of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy cases. MYH7 and MYBPC3 are the most common genes involved, encoding for beta-myosin heavy chain and myosin-binding protein C respectively. These mutations lead to myocardial disarray and fibrosis. What is the primary pathophysiologic mechanism causing symptoms in hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A. Reduced cardiac output due to restrictive physiology. B. Dynamic left ventricular outflow tract obstruction. C. Right ventricular failure. Or D. Pulmonary hypertension. The correct answer is B. Dynamic left ventricular outflow tract obstruction. In hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, asymmetric septal hypertrophy causes narrowing of the outflow tract. During systole, the anterior mitral valve leaflet contacts the septum, creating dynamic obstruction that worsens with exercise, dehydration, or increased contractility. A 14-year-old athlete collapses during basketball practice. Which symptom most strongly suggests underlying hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A. Fever and cough. B. Syncope with exercise. C. Headache and blurry vision. Or D. Joint pain after activity. The correct answer is B. Syncope with exercise. Exercise-induced syncope is a major red flag for hypertrophic cardiomyopathy in young athletes. Other concerning symptoms include exertional chest pain, palpitations, and unexplained dyspnea on exertion. Sudden cardiac death may be the first presentation in some cases. A 10-year-old with known hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy presents with worsening symptoms. Which factor would most likely exacerbate left ventricular outflow tract obstruction? A. Volume expansion. B. Beta blocker therapy. C. Dehydration. Or D. Increased afterload. The correct answer is C. Dehydration. Reduced preload from dehydration worsens left ventricular outflow tract obstruction by decreasing ventricular cavity size. Other exacerbating factors include increased contractility, tachycardia, and vasodilation. Volume expansion and beta blockers typically improve symptoms, while increased afterload reduces gradient. On auscultation, which murmur is characteristic of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A. Holosystolic murmur at apex. B. Harsh crescendo systolic murmur at left sternal border. C. Early diastolic murmur at left sternal border. Or D. Continuous machinery murmur. The correct answer is B. Harsh crescendo systolic murmur at left sternal border. This murmur radiates to the carotids and increases with Valsalva maneuver or standing, which decreases ventricular filling. It decreases with squatting or hand grip, which increases ventricular filling or afterload. Which maneuver decreases the intensity of the hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy murmur during examination? A. Standing from squatting. B. Valsalva maneuver. C. Squatting from standing. Or D. Inhalation of amyl nitrite. The correct answer is C. Squatting from standing. Squatting increases venous return and arterial pressure, which increases ventricular volume and afterload. This widens the outflow tract and reduces obstruction. Standing, Valsalva maneuver, and amyl nitrite all decrease preload or afterload, worsening obstruction. A 12-year-old with family history of sudden cardiac death undergoes screening. Which echocardiographic finding is diagnostic of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A. Left ventricular wall thickness greater than or equal to 15 millimeters. B. Mitral valve prolapse. C. Dilated left ventricle with reduced ejection fraction. Or D. Bicuspid aortic valve. The correct answer is A. Left ventricular wall thickness greater than or equal to 15 millimeters. Diagnostic criteria include unexplained left ventricular hypertrophy with wall thickness 2 standard deviations above the predicted mean for age. Asymmetric septal hypertrophy is classic with septal to posterior wall ratio greater than 1.3. In addition to echocardiography, which imaging modality is most useful for risk stratification in pediatric hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A. Chest X-ray. B. cardiac MRI with late gadolinium enhancement, C, nuclear perfusion scan, or D, CT angiography? The correct answer is B, cardiac MRI with late gadolinium enhancement. Cardiac MRI provides detailed assessment of myocardial fibrosis, which correlates with arrhythmia risk. It also accurately measures wall thickness, detects apical variants, and assesses right ventricular involvement, features that may be missed on echocardiography. What tests should be routinely performed in pediatric hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy patients for arrhythmia screening? A, exercise stress test, B, signal averaged ECG, C, 24-hour Holter monitor, or D, electrophysiologist study? The correct answer is C, 24-hour Holter monitor. Annual Holter monitoring is recommended to detect ventricular arrhythmias, which influence risk stratification. Common ECG findings in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy include left ventricular hypertrophy, ST segment abnormalities, T-wave inversions, abnormal Q waves, and left atrial enlargement. Which factor is associated with the highest risk for sudden cardiac death in pediatric hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A, female gender, B, previous cardiac arrest or sustained ventricular tachycardia, C, left atrial diameter of 40 millimeters, or D, resting left ventricular outflow tract gradient of 30 millimeters of mercury? The correct answer is B, previous cardiac arrest or sustained ventricular tachycardia. Major risk factors include prior cardiac events, family history of sudden death, unexplained syncope, massive hypertrophy over 30 millimeters, non-sustained ventricular tachycardia on Holter, and abnormal blood pressure response to exercise. What is the first-line pharmacologic therapy for symptomatic pediatric hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A, ACE inhibitors, B, beta blockers, C, calcium channel blockers, or D, digoxin? The correct answer is B, beta blockers. Beta blockers reduce heart rate, contractility, and myocardial oxygen demand. Metoprolol, propranolol, and atenolol are commonly used. Non-dihydropyridine calcium channel blockers like verapamil are second-line options. Digoxin and vasodilators like ACE inhibitors should be avoided as they may worsen obstruction. A 14-year-old with severe symptomatic hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy fails medical therapy with persistent left ventricular outflow tract gradient greater than 70 millimeters of mercury. Which intervention would be most appropriate? A, cardiac transplantation, B, septal myectomy, C, mitral valve replacement, or D, permanent pacemaker implantation? The correct answer is B, septal myectomy. Surgical myectomy is the gold standard for children with drug-refractory symptoms and significant outflow obstruction. The procedure removes part of the hypertrophied septum, relieving obstruction. Alcohol septal ablation is generally avoided in children due to arrhythmia risk and concerns about myocardial scarring. Which of the following is an indication for implantable cardioverter-defibrillator placement in pediatric hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A, asymptomatic with family history of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. B, left ventricular wall thickness of 12 millimeters. C, syncope with documented ventricular tachycardia, or D, mild left ventricular outflow tract obstruction with gradient 25 millimeters of mercury? The correct answer is C, syncope with documented ventricular tachycardia. Implantable cardioverter defibrillator placement is indicated for secondary prevention after cardiac arrest or sustained ventricular arrhythmias. Primary prevention indications include multiple high-risk features such as extreme hypertrophy, unexplained syncope, family history of sudden death, and non-sustained ventricular tachycardia. For first-degree relatives of a child with hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, which screening approach is most appropriate? A, one-time screening at diagnosis only. B, regular screening from diagnosis until age 18 only. C, regular screening from diagnosis until age 25, or D, regular lifetime screening? The correct answer is C, regular screening from diagnosis until age 25. First-degree relatives should undergo clinical evaluation, ECG, and echocardiography every 1 to 2 years through adolescence and into early adulthood, as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy can develop during periods of growth. Genetic testing should be offered when a pathogenic variant is identified. Which complication of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy would manifest as progressive dyspnea, peripheral edema, and atrial fibrillation? A, ventricular tachycardia. B, infective endocarditis. C, diastolic heart failure, or D, myocardial infarction? The correct answer is C, diastolic heart failure. Impaired ventricular relaxation and reduced compliance lead to diastolic dysfunction, causing elevated filling pressures and heart failure symptoms despite preserved ejection fraction. Atrial fibrillation is common due to chronic atrial stretch. Management includes rate control, anticoagulation, and diuretics. A 7-year-old presents with hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, facial dysmorphism, and developmental delay. Which syndrome is most likely? A. Turner syndrome, B. Noonan syndrome, C. Marfan syndrome, or D. Williams syndrome. The correct answer is B. Noonan syndrome. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy occurs in 20 to 30% of Noonan syndrome patients. Features include short stature, characteristic facial features, pectus deformities, and developmental delay. Other syndromes associated with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy include Leopard syndrome, Friedreich ataxia, and metabolic disorders. A previously healthy 5-year-old is found to have a heart murmur during routine examination. Which finding would be most concerning for hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy? A. Innocent murmur that diminishes when supine. B. Harsh murmur that increases with standing. C. Continuous machine-like murmur. Or D. Early diastolic murmur at left sternal border. The correct answer is B. Harsh murmur that increases with standing. A systolic murmur that increases with standing or Valsalva maneuver suggests hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. These maneuvers decrease ventricular preload, worsening outflow tract obstruction. General pediatricians should refer any child with these findings for cardiac evaluation. Thank you for watching this comprehensive review of hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy in pediatrics. Remember that early recognition and appropriate referral can save lives. If you found this presentation helpful, please subscribe to Pediatric Case Review for more informative content on pediatric conditions. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below.